Welcome back. It's a brand new world. We got a new natty, new national championship. It's the 4th and 1 podcast coming to you live from Lancaster, Lidditz, Williamstown, Pennsylvania. As always, wherever you get your podcast at 4th and 1 pod. Thank you so much for listening. As Robert seduces me by licking an envelope.
Whew.
It's not CFB3, as always.
See you, boy.
See you next to Captain Boring, and of course myself, aka. Do not get us on TikTok right now at 4th and 1 pod. ChatGPT, when I put this into for you to make the description, don't put that in the description. We're not at 4th and 1 pod at
I mean,
at
technically we're still there. It's just we don't have access to it.
Love this. Yeah, that's true. And
What
of course,
happened? Why don't you have access?
Because TikTok is not on the app stores. So if you have it downloaded, you still have access to it, but Carrie deleted it.
Carrie.
Yeah, so
if you want us, YouTube Shorts, Instagram at 4th and 1 podcast.
Facebook too.
Apparently Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. Come on.
We don't have an active Facebook page, but it is what it is.
We do have an active Facebook page. Yes, that's where all the clips go.
You created us a Facebook page?
You have to in order to get the clips to auto download. Yep.
Okay, and here we are. It's a brand new day. Yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. That's the biggest thing that happened yesterday, for sure. Makai, did you just freeze, or you? No,
Nope,
you were
I'm
actually
still
looking
here.
at something.
Yep,
Man,
nope,
you were still as a statue. Very, very close. The biggest thing that happened yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. That and the national champion, definitely top two things that happened yesterday, 1 and 2 respectively. And I would like to congratulate the Michigan Wolverines for being back-to-back national championships after they beat Ohio State last week in November, and therefore Ohio State went on winning. I will not congratulate the Ohio State Buckeyes on beating a team that knew who they were. But I would say I watched the first half, skipped the halftime show, came back. It was 28-7, and I said, all right, Liz, we're going home because I was over at Makai's house. Makai, you turned on the TV upstairs before we left and watched it, and you saw him come back a little bit?
Yep.
I
just
mean,
and that's pretty much what it is. Notre Dame had three really good drives. One to open the game, and then it was one in the third quarter, and then one in the fourth quarter after a turnover. So Notre Dame upped their stats, points off turnover. They were the nation's leader with that. But Ohio State, speaking of teams that know who they are, Ohio State found who they were after the loss to the Michigan Wolverines there at the end of November. And once you find who you are, you tend to go with that much talent. You tend to go on a run for the ages, and that's what it was. So the Big Ten, the story coming out of today is not only congratulations, Ohio State Buckeyes, but...
No, not congratulations, Ohio State Buckeyes.
It is that the Big Ten is the one conference to rule them all. Back-to-back national champions, first time since 1940 and 41, I believe that the Big Ten won back-to-back national titles. So this is actually a big deal when you say Big Ten versus SEC.
Robert, I'm assuming you watched the game last night.
I watched the first half, and then I said, well, that's pretty much all she wrote.
Okay, cool. Yeah, were any of you guys fatigued by the end of the year?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, so I kind of, as this game was going on, I was like, where was the marketing for this game?
Yeah.
Like, there was no hype around it. Obviously, if you were an Ohio State fan or you were a Notre Dame fan, understandably, both fan bases would be super excited. But, like, anyone who's not a fan of either of these teams, there was no, like, real money, I would say, put into, like, marketing for this. Like, there was no, come check it out. And I don't know if it was just because there was so much, honestly, going on between, like, you had the NFL, you have the inauguration, you had this game, the entirety of Pennsylvania was just swallowed by snowstorms, and so I don't know. It didn't seem like for. And I honestly, it's probably because it was a Big Ten school and an independent school that it wasn't ESPN wasn't like, oh, come check out the game, blah 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 blah. The two old school giants, like how was like Newt Rockney not thrown into a conversation about like a commercial or something? You know what I mean? Like, you had Shane Gillis in his commercial, but like, I only saw that once.
Yeah, I was. I think they're going to have to tweak it. I was surprised by. Granted, this was my first full year of like actually needing to pay attention to multiple different storylines throughout the year because Michigan wasn't as good as they were. And I got to this game and I went, well, I'm more interested in the playoff, the NFL playoffs, than I am in the college football playoffs. It also feels like we totally blew our load. Sorry, Mom. On the first rounds before the bye, and even then the second round it was like meh, and then I got to the Natty, and no offense Notre Dame, but Ohio State kind of ran all over you, and so it was just like this a disappointing first year of the college football playoff. I cut you off.
Disappointing, but
I think so. The NFL is like a build to the playoff, right?
Right.
And college football has always been the build happens during the regular season and it culminates right around New Year's. Well, now we've taken that to where it is a build to where now it is a build in the regular season, and instead of culminating right around New Year's, now you're going 2 or 3 weeks past that. And so I think it is a little bit fatigue for a lot of people. Rob, to your point, I just don't know that ESPN knew how to market this kind of this late, because normally college, like the national championship speaks for itself, but normally it's 2 weeks earlier where it's kind of standalone by itself.
like I've seen them do week 1 promos
Yeah.
like light years better on a quarter of the time. They literally almost had a month, 2 weeks, like, I mean, I don't know. ESPN has to do better. I think they, being the flagship for kind of like the playoffs, I think we need, I don't know, maybe TNT, hell, even maybe Amazon would do better. But you could just kind of, it felt like ESPN didn't care. And part of me thinks it's because it wasn't an SEC team.
I don't think that they didn't care because it wasn't an SEC team. I honestly think that they just thought that people would know that the national championship was on, so why bother marketing it,
I think we have a multiple. We can't obviously rule out the inauguration that was a all-day event this year. For how we try not to get political on the show, but for who it was and what happened.
I mean, it was a lot. Like there was a lot that went on yesterday.
A lot that happened yesterday. I also think this is the two, like last year. Great example. It was a Michigan. It was a Michigan team who hadn't won a Natty in 25 years. It was a Washington team who was like, this is how we do transfers. Like it was the first big transfer team, right? So it was a blue blood versus an up-and-coming new. It was the end of an era. There was a storyline there. What did we have this year? We had a Notre Dame team, blue blood team. They've been in the playoff before, but this was their first natty. Really the biggest thing that happened was Brian Kelly's a dick. Again, sorry, Mom. That was their storyline. The two storylines coming out of Notre Dame was Brian Kelly's a dick and Marcus Freeman's half black. That's what we got. And I'm not trying to be funny. That's the storylines we got out of Notre Dame. And then we had Ohio State, which was what? We didn't have a storyline from Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith's really good at football. Congratulations. You all caught up.
The storyline was they lost to Michigan, and can it be redemption?
I mean,
like that was the Ohio State storyline, and to which it worked because it was a good story. I just, Rob, to your point, Carrie asked me yesterday afternoon. She's like, "So where's the national championship?" And I had to think. I was like, I could not tell you where I could not tell you where the national championship was.
Do you want to know how I knew where the national championship was? because of when they had the whole the bombing or the guy in the car, the truck thing down in Louisiana, because they were like, oh, everything leading up to like the national championship, then they kept saying Mercedes Benz, Mercedes Benz, Mercedes Benz, and I was like, okay, so that's obviously where it's at. But again, nothing. No, there was nothing that told me anything. No story. No David versus Goliath. No, the old school Irish. The Ohio State trying to defeat the odds, even though we chose them to be the national champions before the season even started with their $20 million roster. Like, there was nothing. There was no storytelling. They didn't set this game up. They were just like, hey, it's a football game on Monday night. There's no NFL games on, but hey, why don't you guys check this out? It's college football. You guys will love it.
So I think if I'm to fix the issue that no one asked me to fix, this is what we do. You keep everything the same, but you do a few different things. One, stop with the games. Stop with trying to do this primetime thing. Nobody cares. The fans that are going to want to watch are going to watch when the games are on. So, national championship is on a Saturday. The NFL needs to figure out not to play their games on a Saturday. I don't know why we're letting them play games on Saturday. But the national championship needs to play games on a Saturday or a Sunday if you want to fight with the playoffs. And actually, I will go into it. You need to reseed the teams. That's the big thing. The commissioners came out this week and said we are open to tweaks. And when they mean that, they mean basically seeding it like the way that Robert has been complaining about for the past month and a half. Robert, am I right?
Robert might be frozen.
Oh, no, not the snow.
Oh, wait, no, he's back.
I was like, you guys were frozen for me. I was like, hold on now.
Hold on.
Hold on now.
I just think that this is fatigue from all sides. Like, Simeon, yesterday, Simeon, you put on the pregame show, game day, and I was just like, can we just watch anything else? Like, I'm done with the pregame.
Your wife, don't blame me for that.
And talking about football, right? Like I'm done with Pat McAfee. Like, I just need a break from that. It's a long journey, and they're going to have to figure out a way to not build the if they're going to do this, they're going to have to figure out a way not to build the regular season so hard, or like condense everything to match the FCS schedule, Robert, which is same playoff format, more teams, 16 teams, and it's over when the national championship used to be for FBS, which is the week after New Year's.
So
which I wouldn't hate.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was going to be more to that.
Nope, he just wouldn't hate that.
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, at the end of the day, what are we doing?
Oh, we can still hear you, bud.
Yeah, what are we doing in November? As Robert's internet, there he is. What are we doing in the beginning of December? Right? You have end of November is the end of the season. The week after that is the conference championship. Playoffs should be the immediate week after that. That's when we should have first rounds of the playoffs. I don't know why we're waiting around till the end of December to start the playoffs.
Well, and here was because I said this to Micaiah, why are we only doing like one bowl game a day? Some days you only get one, and it's like, why? No one really cares about James Madison versus Western Kentucky, but that game, UNL Cal, Sam Houston and Georgia, like, put 5 or 6 games on throughout the day. It's the holiday season. Some people are off, some people are on. That's just how it goes. You can take the entire bowl season, because anyone who sits there and says, I love bowl season, I watch every single game, then you know what, buddy? You should probably find something else to freaking do, because good Lord, I'm not going to sit here and watch University of South Alabama play Western Michigan for 2 hours unless I'm sitting at work.
Go Broncos.
Especially after you just got through 14 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, it's 14 weeks now.
All day. Yeah.
And
I also think... Go ahead.
No, yours is going to be better.
So, probably not. I also think that they need to switch game day to like every other week. I'm like, and I know that's probably not a popular opinion, but like, if you're going to keep trotting Lee Corso out there.
Oh, well, Lee Corso's got to go. I'm sorry. I do love Lee Corso, but he needs to to career-wise ride off
Right.
into the sunset.
And also,
I'm not saying dude needs to
no, and like
visit the
Take him
farm.
out back. Think
Yeah.
I feel
happy
like
thoughts.
the script for game day is the same every single week. There's always a sad story about somebody. There's always this uplifting thing about the other team. They always interview the coach as he's walking along the field. Sometimes it's a robot. Then they got a kick and makes some kid just look stupid and he misses the kick. And then they chant, one more kick. Like they're not going to give him a second try. So then he kicks the second one, kind of closer, but it's not. And it's like, I don't know. To be honest with you, probably like week 4, I kind of don't watch game day anymore because it's the same shit.
I get until about week 8. I make it a little farther. I make it about a little over half. And then that's when I'm just like, all right, I'll put this on for background noise and then go do something else.
Like it's never anything like, oh my god, this I can't wait to see this.
Right.
It's like, no, it's the same stuff.
If they were smart, what they would do is they would do what Fox does and shorten it an hour. Or even shorten it to an hour. Where it's 11 to 12.
Well, it used to be 10 to noon. Then it got so popular that it became that they moved it back an hour, so it's 9 to noon, right? I think, Robert, have game day during the regular season. I don't need a 4-hour game day or a 2-hour game day, 3-hour game day, whatever it was last night, like in the postseason. Put it on an hour before,
1 hour
up until kickoff, and then go. I don't need game day in the postseason. Regular season on campus, student screaming, absolutely, but not in the postseason.
If you want to do, if I'm thinking from a program manager perspective, or program director, or whatever they're called perspective, this is what I'm doing. You're getting, you're getting either 2 hours, or if you are doing 9 hours, like do 2 hours. So do 10 to 12, first of all, shorten it, because I agree with you. And then if you want to make content, like still start at 9 or whatever the case is, but put it on ESPN2. Put the first hour on ESPN2. Allow the people to be a little bit more genuine, have more fun with the crowd, do that sort of thing. And then, Makai, I totally agree with you. Like, the McAfee show makes sense. Do the McAfee show for the first 2 hours, and then bring everybody else out on set and do Nick Saban and Pat McAfee messing around, sort of situation. It's too much. I am saying this. This is going to be Simeon's hot take that you two will comment on. It was too much college football this year for me.
Well, yeah, it's becoming like a part-time job almost.
And this is,
we literally went through an entire season where it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And it's like if you watch the NFL, you're Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was
well, what was it? 55 straight days at one point in time.
I mean,
of
it's a
football,
lot, man. Yeah. I mean, listen, I love football, and I will watch football. But there is a point, that it becomes too much. I obviously love cake, but eventually it becomes too much,
You can only have an opinion so many times on things, right? Like
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like, okay, well, that happened, right? Not everything needs to have an opinion. Sometimes you just need to sit back and enjoy it. Absolutely.
To literally get on the show every Tuesday and go, hey guys, Colorado still doesn't have a run game. Or Ohio State won again because they played Marshall or Western Michigan, or Penn State won because they played Kent, and Michigan played Fresno State. Who's the quarterback going to be? We don't know because the offense is terrible and the defense is kind of there, but they're not there. It's like we kind of had the same, and that was also their thing. We had the same stories every week.
Yeah, there was no big curveball this year, right?
Right. It was just the same stuff. Like the big curveball was Indiana.
Yeah,
but
that's that's the biggest The biggest curveball was DJ Lagway deciding to finally show up at the latter half of the season.
Yeah, but that took us until week 7.
Yeah, but that wasn't like this is like the big thing, which is actually good. Let's go over the curveballs later. But like, if I wanted to be a true college football fan, right? Like, let's say, I agree, Nick Saban was the end of the era. I was just thinking about this on the drive home. College football hasn't been the same since 2020. Football hasn't been the same since 2020, right? Like I went back and watched NFL highlights from like 2012, right? You can't throw the ball over the middle in 2012 because Palamalu's going to come out, going to rush across the field and take your head off. You can't do that anymore. It's a totally different game than it was in the mid 2000s, and for college, it was a totally different game than it was now 4 years ago. So, as a fan, as someone who wants this to be their hobby, for lack of a better term, who it is their hobby, right? I have a college football podcast. I have to pay attention to 100 and some teams, right?
134.
134 teams, roughly. They have to be on my radar, right? If I'm an English soccer fan, I'll talk about the lower divisions every once in a while. But at the end of the day, if I'm making content for them, I'm probably only going to be paying attention to the top. I want to say it's like 28. Sorry, guys, don't kill me. Teams. And in reality, I'm going to be paying attention to the top 10, whoever's in, and then Wrexham every now and again because they have a TV show. I can't do that with college football. I can't pay attention to the top 25 because, quite honest with you, I have to pay attention to who the top 25 is playing and why it's important that the top 25 is playing those people and what it means for them. And then I like the MAC, so I want to pay attention to the MAC. I want to pay attention to the Mountain West, even though no one's watching those games unless they're alum or go there or drunk. Like, I can't do everything that I want to do. So if college football wants to stay alive, I think is my point, they got to figure out a way to narrow themselves down and chisel out their uniqueness again in one form or another.
Well, Simeon, I think you made a great point. Either you get rid of the conference championship games and the conference champion is determined by winning percentage, whatever.
Send them to a bowl game. Conference championship could be a bowl game.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is you get rid of that and you start the playoffs the week of the conference championship.
Yeah.
Or if you want to have it, it doesn't matter. Like you said, the next week we are rolling right into round one of the playoffs.
We're not.
Army, Navy, I'm sorry. You need to play during rivalry weekend when Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn,
You're
Ole
now
Miss,
part of the same division. You have no excuses.
Like you,
same conference,
you no longer get. I'm fixing college football right here. Army Navy gets pushed back until before the conference champion. We do conference championship week, round one of the playoffs. The following week, round two, and then that means the semifinals fall right on around New Year's again, and then national championship is July 9th. It's gonna hit you hot and heavy for about 4 months, and then you're done. So I just fixed college football. You're welcome. Come back for more because next week I'm going to fix NIL. I'm just kidding.
There ain't anything that's going to fix NIL.
There is no such thing. Go ahead.
Shout out, real quick, shout out Jacob, our YouTube and Spotify commenter. What up?
Shout out Jacob.
Did you guys see everything that's going on with the ACC?
No.
Robert.
So the ACC, this is the article, will wait changes to its title game, says the commissioner. So I'm having trouble understanding this. So Phillips, who I'm assuming is the commissioner, the crybaby commissioner of the ACC, said that the ACC could consider giving its regular season champion a bye and have the teams that finish second or third in the league standings play in the ACC championship game. What does that do?
Gets more than one AC. He's trying to guarantee more than one ACC team gets in after this year because of what happened this year.
So, okay,
I'm guessing.
Wouldn't every conference just do that then if that means you can get more teams in?
Yeah, essentially.
Because then the next paragraph is he also said another possibility is having the top four teams play on the final weekend of the regular season, first place versus fourth and second versus third, which 100% that makes sense. And then with the winners playing the following week in the ACC championship game. So essentially you have to leave that final weekend game open. Everyone has to play one less game.
Well, they only play 8 conference games anyway. So it'd be like playing 9.
You're still playing the same number of games as everyone else, though.
Yep.
So you still essentially have to have a bye week and eliminate one game, and then the last game has to be kind of like a we'll see where we're at the end of the season, and then the entire ACC
So-
has to have their schedule come out, and everyone has to try and figure out where the hell they're going.
So for them, it makes total sense for a multitude of reasons. First, Micaiah, thank you for reminding they only do 8 regular season conference games. I think we can all agree that the ACC is the weakest of the Power Four right now. The SEC has the title. Big Ten is there for sure. They just won the last 2 natties. Big 12 exists and has enough momentum going for it. They kind of snuck in there at the end for how crazy they were. They're the most even. We all looked at the ACC this year and went, who do they got? Clemson. Congratulations. You have an SEC team that's in the wrong division. SMU came out of nowhere with their own money, made it happen. So now I'm the commissioner saying, I need to continue to generate revenue, especially now that we have to pay our guys. How do I do this? I make my conference more interesting and more competitive. I fluff us a little bit.
It takes away the fatigue at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because
So
it
we're
brings
just-
the excitement back
Yep.
in.
We're
Right.
going to be like, we're going to go into our 2-week championship, and that allows possibly 2, maybe even 3 some years ACC because we've played harder games to get into the conference championship. I think it's smart. If you can't land Notre Dame, I hate it because I don't like how corporate it is, but I love it from a creativity perspective.
Well, Rob, I also think you're going to see the college football playoff committee, because I think they wanted to do it this year, but they were afraid of the backlash. I think you're going to start seeing the college football playoff committee penalize teams for playing in the conference championship game. I don't think that that's right, but I think that that's Phillips's fear in doing this. So you give your champion a bye, and then it's just, your second and third team, and it gives them another week to kind of show that they should be a part of it. Because right now, the way it's set up and the way the ACC, their big argument was, well, Alabama should be in, but the ACC's big argument was, okay, yeah, but Alabama didn't make the conference championship game, and Clemson and SMU did, right? That was the big argument. And SMU did lose, and so Phillips and they were afraid, oh, well, because you played an extra week, if you wouldn't have made the conference championship game like Alabama, you would have been in. But because SMU you played and you lost, that's another tick on the resume, and you're out now, right? So I think that's what he's trying to avoid. And, Simeon, to your point, they're trying to make it more interesting towards the end of the year. They're trying to keep people locked into the ACC race at the end of the year instead of veering to the Big Ten. That is far more interesting. Instead of veering to the SEC, that is far more interesting. The Big 12 down the stretch, that was probably the most interesting conference out of all of them, right?
Michigan kind of saved the Big Ten by beating Ohio State. No lie. If it wasn't, because if they didn't, the Big Ten's locked up. Congratulations.
It would have been Oregon and Ohio State again.
Yep. Awesome. Congratulations. If not, but we had 4 teams that could have made 5 teams that could have made the championship in the Big 12.
Yeah, there was like a slew of them.
It was like an if-then statement table that just blew. Yeah. This is what college football is going to turn into. It's going to be commissioners trying to be creative because they have to bring in the money somehow, because this is no longer amateur sports; it's professional sports, and
I was
now we care about time slots for some reason.
I was listening to Colin Cowherd today, and Robert, I know you're his favorite because he recommended the Steelers trade up for Shedeur Sanders, which I think is asinine, but whatever. I was listening to him, and Joel Klatt was talking with Joel Klatt, and they're like, the Big Ten is actually set up better for the NIL era than the SEC because Big Ten schools are bigger.
Yeah.
Like from top to bottom, they're bigger, and
besides like Notre
people
Dame.
like
Notre
people
Dame,
go to
Northwestern.
Michigan and
Yeah.
then move south.
Yeah.
And so they're going to give back to Michigan, but it's like if you're wealthy enough, you probably went to a Big Ten school and not an SEC school. And I thought that was very interesting. And I was hoping one of you.
I thought you said
talk
Robert
off
at the
of that.
beginning, so I was giving him time too.
You did?
Yeah, but I think
I
I
didn't
just
even hear that
realized now
part.
he's talking. He was talking about Shitter.
Robert
Oh,
is.
well, yeah. When you said that'd be the dumbest thing Pittsburgh does. But
Micaiah, you bring up a really valid point. More to me is the Big Ten schools have more culture, if that makes sense, than established team cultures is what I should say, right? The traditions are longer lasting. I don't want to say better or bigger and get the SEC fanboys jumping down my throat because they'll go for me. We've been around. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but we have a rivalry called the game. It's what we play. We play a game.
Technically, so is Princeton and Yale, but that's all right.
We got a rivalry called the game. Well, Princeton and Yale don't want to pay their white kids, okay? If they paid their white kids like we pay our white kids, we wouldn't have issues.
Hey, they're actually joining the FCS playoffs.
Shout out. Now they can lose in the first round just like all the other.
yeah, that's like giving. I don't know. Let's just give Kansas a first round bye now.
Yeah, like
let's. Oh, look, Vandy's going to be in now.
For the record, I wasn't making a race joke. I was making fun of the fact that you pay to get to play in the Ivy League, but like also their pools that would be like giving F&M a first round bye in Division 2 or like more accurately FCS. Like they don't have the same class sizes. They're way smaller schools than the rest of FCS.
Probably the way I would say that would be like putting like your HBCU into it because they're kind of on the same level in a sense, but like
from a class size perspective, yeah,
right, yeah.
They're just different, and I don't know
but
why.
You put one of them up against Montana State, North Dakota State. It's like putting Sam Houston or Kennesaw State up against Alabama or Georgia.
I was so close. It was Yale and Harvard that also goes by the game. I apologize, everyone in Harvard who I just offended.
To Yale and
Congratulations,
Harvard,
they're all lawyers, dog. You're in trouble.
I'm getting sued.
To be fair, they've played football for a while, so we'll give it to them. But you guys are in the wrong division. Let more kids go to your school, and you won't have issues.
I had to laugh. Michigan fans are just trying, and I think I said it in the group
That's why
chat.
I congratulated Ohio State.
Yeah, like Michigan fans are just trying way too hard today. Like, guys, like I understand. Like, yes, we beat the defending national champion. If we ran it back today, I am fairly confident that Ohio State would just mollywop us.
9 out of 10 games they would win, but we played the one. That's what matters.
Yeah. You know what? We played the one, but no, like we should not feel good. Like people are like, I feel good because
I do feel good too. No,
like,
I
I do
100%
not.
agreed
No.
with them.
I do not.
Listen, this is what. All right, so this segues us into what I was going to bring up because we got another half hour to talk about stuff before we go on our.
No, Robert's like, I'm just gonna leave.
No, because I thought about this too. And here's the way I thought about this. Okay, say we flip the script. Michigan wins the national title but doesn't beat Ohio State. The media would still crucify Harbaugh because he didn't beat Ohio State. And Ohio State fans would be like, oh, we won the national championship, but you couldn't beat Ohio State. And then now we have Michigan going, oh, well, you won the national championship, but you couldn't beat Michigan. And it's like, dude, here's the thing, man. I said I always want Ohio State to be at the top of their game when Michigan plays them because it means more than beating them when they're down. So as this result here is exactly what I wanted because now 2025 Michigan and Michigan's new revamped probably $50 million roster at this point with how much money they're throwing around. And it's almost going to be the same exact Ohio State team with maybe a couple more additives playing at Michigan. that game there that is the game that you want to see, regardless of how Michigan is, regardless of how Ohio State is. That is going to be the game. Even though I'd rather them be like 1-2 because that's just how things should be. Because in the Big Ten it just means more. Am I right?
Yeah, come on.
SEC,
Let's
it just
go.
means more. I didn't know it meant
more
more
when
to
we
be
lose.
sitting at home
Yeah.
counting your ticket as you're flying to Cancun, you bums. But yeah, I'll go in on them. I don't care.
It's the end of the season.
Yeah, it's the end of the season. What are they going to say? The SEC won so many championships. I could care less. They haven't won the last two.
Alabama lost to a team that threw the ball for 62 yards.
Robert was right about year one for Kalen DeBoer. Suck it.
Yeah. I mean,
It's either way.
That brings up a good question because you said Ohio State should have the same team. They'll have Caleb Downs back, but I think most of that defensive line, I think weren't they most seniors, right?
Guess who's
So,
ready to answer this question?
Maybe
Okay.
because honestly, I think a lot of them probably have. There's probably a COVID year somewhere in there.
Nope.
Aren't
Cody
we out of
Simons is going. Jack Sawyer's going. TJ Tuimoloau.
Yeah, JTT. Yep.
Yeah, and Denzel Burke, as well as Latham Ransom. Are all.
Oh, Latham's going.
Actually, no. Bring back Latham.
Yeah, man. I thought
Ransom comes back.
the greatest corner / safety, whatever he was in Ohio State history. God.
Oh man, him and Makari Page should just whatever team that Lathan Ransom and Makari Page end up on in the NFL, just pick against every single week.
Because they're gonna get burned somewhere.
It's like the Eagles whenever they have an injury in the secondary and they have to put Sidney Brown in. It's immediate. Just go on FanDuel and update touchdown for that team for the opposing team's next drive. Because that's what it's going to be.
If Quinshon Junkins comes back,
Yeah, my guess is he will.
They
He
also
needs
added
to because he had a really bad year.
Well, here's my question, right? It's not with the two Penn State guys not entering the draft, it becomes a running back light draft. This is a defensive heavy draft to begin with, which we will definitely touch on as the combine comes on. But now that both Penn State guys are coming back, that was two of your top running backs that just decided to both come back together. So if I'm him, I either possibly up my draft stock or I can go get paid. I'm possibly a second round pick, but who knows how much Ohio State's going to play me. No, I just realized that. But they added C.J. Donaldson from West Virginia. Ohio State did.
That's definitely a big get. But a lot of that defense, like I said, is leaving.
Yeah.
The quarterback's going to be unproven, right?
Yep.
The offensive
Ohio
line is going to be a mixed match again, I'm sure.
Here's the thing, though. Ohio State has done incredibly well with freshman quarterbacks.
Ryan, is it fair to say Ryan Day is a little bit of a QB whisperer?
Is probably better than Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give him that right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because when the number of times where it's like
in college.
Yes.
In college. Because I think you have to say, no offense, Lincoln Riley's quarterbacks, once they get to the NFL, are better than Ryan Day's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
neither of them coach in the NFL, so I usually go by what they do in college. So, but how many times have we been like, yes, Justin Fields is leaving? Oh, okay, great. Here comes this person. Or great, it was this quarterback was leaving. Oh, now they're this quarterback. Oh, now they're this quarterback. Like he's been able to coach these quarterbacks up pretty good.
It helps that they always have top tier talent.
Right.
Like it's going to help if Aaron Nolan gets the job. Is that? Oh no, it's Julian Sayin now.
It's Julian Sayin.
If Julian Sayin gets the job, it's going to help that Jeremiah Smith's going to be wide open, like 60% of the time.
Yeah, and that's when they were, they talk about how good Will Howard was and blah blah blah, and it's like, no, Will Howard was not a good quarterback. He's an average quarterback. He can get the job done, but by no means is stretch of imagination is he this top tier quarterback. Let's just Go back to when he was at Kansas State and he didn't have weapons. Not good.
Robert, I'm officially on your bandwagon that Jeremiah Smith is
Probably the best wide receiver
yeah.
to ever go to Ohio State. Yes.
Well, and also better than Ryan Williams.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see them both in a room oiled up. That's all I'm saying.
What? Stop. That's a hard pause.
See, how do we get to there? Like, how does that happen?
This is my brain. It was like, but those two guys, if I could watch them duel 1-on-1, and then basically that, and then make it gay, and that's how we get to where we were. Because if I could watch those two guys duel for 14 weeks out of the year,
yeah,
that'd be the
really
best. Yeah.
Can I, Rob? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
You're a little more X's and O's than I am when it comes to actual like scheme and stuff for football because you actually played between the three of us. You're the only one. So Michigan has this great game plan and just stops Ohio State's passing game essentially, right? Why did the playoff teams try to do that? Because I saw a lot of man-to-man in the playoffs, and Michigan did not run a lot of man-to-man. They ran zone with the coverage shell over top. But yet, Oregon played man-to-man. Notre Dame last night played man-to-man. Texas, again, zone shell, and had a chance to tie the game at the end of the game before the scoop and score. So, like, is it a pride thing? Like, why wouldn't you, if you're a coach, turn on that Michigan tape and go, we're doing exactly this?
I mean, it's harder to matching up with Ohio State man-to-man is definitely harder. I mean, Ibuka, Tate, and Smith, those three, they essentially have, it's common to have one really good corner, and maybe even have two, but to have three, that's another story. But a lot of it is, I mean, look at Don Brown. Don Brown loved playing man, because playing man is essentially asserting your dominance and letting your front four just have a field day, where playing safe is essentially playing zone. Blanky, you kind of have everything covered one way or another, something, you have it covered. But it's also easy for Ohio State when you have your defense playing at its absolute peak and you're getting the ball over and over and over and over again. You can't play man. You can't. Because it's just constantly, and Ohio State wide receivers have always, I mean, the number of times we've seen a Michigan game where there's a crossing pattern across the middle.
Yeah,
it's constant.
That's their bread and, right. It's like Michigan's inside zone. Yeah,
because everyone tries to play man, and Michigan was able to get pressure, which made Will kind of a little uncomfortable. Where other teams couldn't get pressure. Texas got pressure, kind of. And sat back and played zone, and and you look at Jeremiah Smith. He had one catch, 4 yards,
something like that, 3 yards, 4 yards.
But then the next team doesn't get pressure. Notre Dame doesn't really get any pressure. They sit back and they play man, and he has a day. He against who was the other one? Oregon. I mean, he had 100 yards in the first half.
Yeah,
like
over that, but yeah.
A lot of it's a pride. You want to show that your athletes are better than their athletes.
So, rolling into the way too early top 25 for next year. Right now, not holding anyone to their word.
That's what I was gonna do.
Who's your 2025 sixth national champion? Right, like. Again, I'm not holding that. We'll do the preview show come this summer, fall, whatever, and we'll pick the actual national championship because a lot can change. But sitting here today, not even 24 hours after the season is finished, who is your favorite to win the Natty next year?
Go ahead, Simeon.
Oh, you're gonna make me do this?
Yep.
And I looked at this, which is annoying today already. If Riley Leonard develops, Notre Dame's scary. He can't throw the ball. If Riley,
I think Riley Leonard's going to the NFL. No,
oh wait,
Isn't
no,
he?
I'm sorry, he is. I thought he was coming back. I thought I read that incorrectly today. Obviously, Georgia's going to be up there because they're always going to be up there for the remainder.
who's got a quarterback coming back?
Clemson has
Listen,
paid.
Makai, you already know
Miami?
my pick, so
BYU.
I already know your pick.
So
we already talked about it.
if I'm being confident, I'm probably saying Ohio State. If I'm being cocky, and I mean that with the pun intended, we're talking about the USC known as the South Carolina Gamecocks. The way that Lenore Sellers developed the latter half of the season, and they're going to come back mad because of what Illinois did to them. Oh boy. If I'm the SEC, watch out for Columbia.
Florida could have a nice team if they put it together. I'd probably have to go with Texas, just because I think Arch Manning.
But like
It's sort of a returning starter
was
situation.
Quinn Ewers really the problem at Texas?
No, I'm not saying he was, but I'm saying eventually, like if you get to 2 semifinals, right? Like you've been there and you know, you have guys on the roster that haven't gotten it done that are just going to be hungry and motivated. And I have no idea, Robert, who we talked about.
Oh, Penn State.
Oh.
You know, they're getting Drew back. Drew has his moments. He kind of started getting better at the end of the season. You're getting probably the 2 best running backs.
No, say it. They are.
It's the 2 best running backs.
Yeah.
Which actually was kind of nice to see because it's been like 2 years in the making where we're like, you know, these guys should be running all over the place and they kind of weren't. You know, you look at their schedule for next year, they have 1 tough road game at Ohio State. They get Oregon at home. They get Indiana at home, Nebraska at home. Like, they could walk into the playoffs with another 1-loss, 2-loss season, and we're back to square one where they're literally 1 win away from making noise.
So Penn State's a great pick. Texas is a great pick too. Michigan's just going to come reloaded, I think, as well, but very unproven. So you can't put them in that. Oregon's going to be good. The thing with Oregon is they are on the Oklahoma track, which is just transfer quarterback after transfer quarterback. You know, they've done this now 3 straight years. Bo was there for 2 seasons, but you know, they've done the 2 straight transfer quarterback things, and eventually, like, the development's got to come into play. So we're going to have to see what Dante Moore is bringing back. But Robert, that Penn State pick, not bad. They do lose Tom Allen, the DC, to Clemson. Yeah. That'll hurt kind of, I think, their physicality on defense, definitely. Penn State's biggest problem is outside weapons. They got to find, because Tyler Warren's gone, they got to find someone else to throw the ball to other than a tight end, right?
Yeah, I think their top wide receiver left, too. You jumped in the portal.
Oh.
Penn State.
So he'd be a 3 anywhere else?
Basically.
Shit, at this point, he'd be a number 1 at Michigan.
Yeah, well, maybe. Clemson's a good team that people should not sleep on because Klubnik is coming back as well. Simeon, you said South Carolina, Florida, right? They're going to be in there. I'm being very curious to see what Bill Belichick puts together down there in Chapel Hill.
If he's still there.
If he's still there.
Question mark?
Question mark.
Very big question mark.
In his contract, he has a no buyout clause if he decides to leave before July 1st of this year.
So, as in, he might think a team is going to offer him a head coaching job?
If an NFL team comes knocking, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. Are we sleeping on any West teams?
Well, we're not talking about Big 12. We just don't believe in them.
I'm more talking about the LA teams.
I don't know. USC has a lot of issues. UCLA just doesn't produce good football. Maybe Washington State. They kind of were hanging around a bunch this year, and then they kind of fell off at the end. I think the bigger question is who's our group of five going to be?
Yeah, that's a
That's the what?
who he's on the phone.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, he is getting information directly from the source on who his next pick is going to be.
It's called my wife.
Exactly, the ruler of the house.
Yeah.
Would it be Boise again? Right?
Maybe. I mean, I guess that would be the leading favorite, but is this the year James Madison? I mean, they kind of were hanging around. I mean, obviously Boise State only had one loss to Oregon, but James Madison was there, and they got that new kid, that quarterback from UNLV now. Is
it UNLV, right?
It
with
could be UNLV.
Yeah, with Dan Mullen.
With Dan Mullins.
Dan Mullen.
Puts together.
But they have Orgy at quarterback, though. We've seen this.
We've
But
seen
Dan
that.
Mullins is really good with
Running quarterbacks.
Liberty, maybe, as long as they don't lose to Kennesaw State.
They lost their quarterback to Colorado.
Oh, is that where he went?
Yeah. He's Dion's next quarterback.
How does Simeon know more than you do?
No, because
Yeah.
but they also signed a 5-star quarterback who I thought
maybe that's what it is then.
They were giving the reins to.
Maybe he just pieced out.
Who?
Liberty?
Are we talking about Liberty?
Colorado.
Liberty's not, oh.
No,
Colorado.
Colorado's transfer. They brought in. It was Liberty's quarterback this year.
Colorado did get the number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, and I thought he was the one who was going to get the reins, not the
when you
schmuck
have
from
Shador
Liberty,
2.0 on your team.
Yeah, okay, the one that lost to Kennesaw State, who looked.
I'm not
awful.
disagreeing with you, but you could have. I would have said, listen, sorry, let me calm down. I'm an adult.
I need to calm down. Have you guys seen that clip from?
Yes,
I need to calm down. I'm an adult.
I'm an adult. Colorado could have lost to Kennesaw State. I'm not.
All right. Let's not listen. I hate Colorado. Okay, but listen, I'm not going to sit here and try to play and say that they would lose to like a Fun Belt team. Okay.
Hey, don't be knocking the Fun Belt.
Dude,
Also,
I'll knock the Fun Belt
Kennesaw
up and
State,
down all day.
Shout out Georgia, because you guys nicely went back into the stands. JT was short, and Kennesaw State nicely went back to their seats. That's all that I will ever say.
Rob, I just want to know how you had problems with Cincinnati. I went up and down the field on them
Oh
today.
my god, dude! So there was I fumbled. The guy picks it up, hurdles 2 of my people, runs in for a touchdown. I'm like, all right, great. Then I throw a pass, and he just steps in front, picks it, runs it back. I was like, this game is just. But I was like, whatever. I'm going to Nebraska. I'm going to be a Cornhusker now.
For those of you not keeping track, because we are 53 and we just decided to stop talking about things that are real in real life, we're talking about video games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just in case we were curious. Does Wisconsin finally make a...
I'm being honest, I'm kind of tired of waiting on Luke Fickell. I thought he would have popped by now, but he has shown no improvement. No improvement at all. None.
So...
It was 5-7, and then what they do this year? 7-5.
Yeah.
It was 5-7, 5-7, 7-5. When are you
If
gonna pop,
you-
Burrow?
If you look at the Big Ten and pretty much the top 5 of the Big Ten down, I would say we're just all disappointments.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so here is Simeon's top 3 most likely, the not Ohio State list. Let's put it that way. Okay?
Okay. I honestly don't with Ohio State losing that much leadership and starters on defense. I don't think everyone's putting their money on Ohio State. I would not.
Lot.
Yeah, there's some question marks on that team, but go ahead. Sorry.
So we already started off with the Gamecocks of South Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, just because I'm looking at their returners, who's returning? Iowa State. They showed some spunk and some kick, and I truly do believe that Matt Campbell if he has a good year, could win a natty.
Quarterback coming back?
Quarterback's coming back. Rocco Becht.
Yep. Good job.
Thank you. So that's number 2. Number 3, I got to scroll down here. We already talked about them. The Florida Gators. Worst to first, in my opinion. Most likely.
Well, they were really hot at the end of the year.
They were extremely hot at the end of the year. Texas A&M could surprise me, but I don't know, dude. I don't.
Oh yeah, I mean, what do you think about all that money there in Aggieland? Right, first year went about as well as I thought. Mike Elko, a little ahead of schedule. The fact that they were in the contention for the SEC title game last week. Marcel Reed, second year, going to be probably full-time starter there, assuming he didn't transfer. I guess I can't say that.
He's returning.
I guess I can't say that with confidence. No. They're going to run the football. They're going to. Mike Elko plays good defense. I don't hate that pick.
Marcel Reed, Levon Moss, Ruben Owens. Looks like one of their tackles these are all key returners and leaders on the defense. It's a team that struggled and then found their identity quickly. Very impressed with Mike Elko. I don't know where we'll go over staff changes probably at some point in here in the future. Because if his offensive coordinator left now, that's where things are going to get interesting and a little screwy.
What about Florida State?
No. What about them? They're going to have a brand new team again.
Yeah. So,
who's going to be their quarterback? Didn't they get someone?
Yeah, they got a transfer from Boston College.
Oh, Tommy Castellanos.
Yeah, and I mean you could put any quarterback in there and they'll be better than DJ or not DJ. Yeah, DJ.
Yeah, Uiagalelei. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see if if they just got caught in a odd development year, which means their young players weren't quite ready to take over, but they were bad. And I don't know if it truly was just quarterback play or if the team got down or what.
I mean, they did bring in some bigger named transfers. I mean, Deuce Robinson, wide receiver. They brought in a lot of help on the outside between him and Squirrel White.
Mm.
So I mean,
Tennessee,
they're gonna have weapons. It's just
I don't believe in Tennessee.
Is it you don't believe in Tennessee or do you not believe in Nico?
I don't believe in Nico yet.
Okay.
Yet being he's a good
who
quarterback.
I believe in?
Your Lord and Savior Dylan Raiola.
But you know who I don't believe in? Matt Rule.
It's funny they have now changed coaches 3 times, and it's been the same result for the last 8 years. Just
watch Scott Frost go 13-0 with.
I forgot he's going back to UCFO. Gus Malzahn went to take over the offense at Florida State, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a big get. They're going to run for a bunch of yards. Their passing game is going to suck, but they're going to run for a bunch of yards. That's for sure.
Well, and they'll run Castellano. Is it Castellano?
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think they're going to run him a lot.
Yeah.
Is what's his face at Syracuse? Is he a senior?
Who, Kyle?
Kyle, yeah.
McCord. He declared for the NFL
he's
draft,
leaving.
didn't he?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He might not be a senior, but he declared.
He might surprise people with how high he goes because it is a weak quarterback draft.
You know what quarterback he's going to be like? He's going to be kind of like Bo. Bo Nix.
Bo Nix?
Y'all are frozen.
Yeah. Nope. All right, we can hear you,
talking
bud.
to myself. Hey, how's it going?
No, we got you. Bo Nix, did you say?
Yeah. I could see him being like Bo Nix where it's kind of like under the radar-ish. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is for Washington.
Right.
Caleb Downs is the little engine that could. And it's kind of you don't hear anything about Bo Nix. I could see Shedeur doing okay somewhere and Cam Ward doing okay somewhere, but then there's just little Kyle McCord just doing his thing. Wins games, not all the time.
You know who I'm going to put my Bo Nix into? Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart has played a lot of football. A lot of football.
That's worrisome, though.
How?
Because I think what we're going to end up getting into is we have these players who are playing so many years in college, and they're just playing so often that they're going to go to the NFL, and it's like your longevity is, he's played a lot of football.
They're going to have
and it's
shorter careers, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, Jackson Dart, he might have 2 good years, but by the 3rd or 4th year, either he's already getting rotator cuff surgery or he's already broken his collarbone twice.
Well, I mean, you could say the same thing about Bo Nix, too, right? Didn't Bo Nix start 5 full seasons in college?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Yes, Bo Nix did start 5 full seasons in college.
So-
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Bo's more than likely going to have a shorter NFL stint unless he pulls this Tom Brady-esque longevity deal.
Avocado tequila, right? And that's what Tom drinks, some shit like that?
I don't know. No, whatever.
All right.
All right.
Well-
I think we wrap this up.
I think that's it.
Oh, well, of course, my soundboard.
Let's go ahead and hit that little button there, buddy.
I'm working on it.
Let's just wrap this up.
Well, hey, guys, we're going to be off for a couple weeks, 1 or 2, just to decompress from all the football. We'll be back to talk draft and next year and all the coaching moves. So, see you in a couple weeks.
Check out the animals. See ya.